Right. Hey guys, and welcome to a Stellaris Console Edition tutorial. And I'm not gonna get shit for this, don't worry. So, first things first, you have to go to this lovely page right here, and you can either select an empire or create an empire. Right? You can randomize one, I don't suggest that. So, if we go to create an empire, right, first things first, we have an appearance, you can change how they look, a lot of different ideas. Let's see, I'll just go with human for this playthrough. And there's so many choices to choose from and what the people look like depending on what DLCs you have and so forth. So you got species name, let's go with civili, because why not? You have the types of names of ships, leaders, planet names, fleet names. I go with humanoid just because I can actually pronounce them and it doesn't sound too weird. Alright, then we go to traits. Traits are what our people are going to have equipped on them, like, on the ground. You know, not really empire modifications, but just our people, this one species that we will have on our population. So, for this one, it's going to be plus 15% for food. For this one, it's going to be plus 15% for energy. Intelligent, which gives plus to all your research that you're going to have. Thrifty, which adds to trade value from pops. Engineering research, physics research, and society research. You can only choose one of these to stack with intelligent if you want to do a science-based playthrough. And then we have extremely adaptive and then adaptive, which add habitability. Habitability increases your ability to colonize planets and for your people to be happy on planets that are not suited for your population. So these all have numbers on the side of them, obviously, and you can only choose 5 picks, and you only have the amount of points that you use up. So say I go with industrious, right? Now I have 0 trait points left, but I have 4 picks. So now I can go down here and do non-adaptive, which minuses my habitability, but it gives me 2 more trait points that I can use. So now I can go and choose Rapid Breeders, which is one of the most top tier perks that you can choose in this game. Then Unity from Jobs is good, but probably just going to go for Slow Learners. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to choose Strong, so that way it increases my worker basic resource output and army damage by 20%. So now that I've had all my traits picked out, and there's a lot more that you can look through on your own time just to see what kind of species you want to create. So you can go down here, you can name your empire's leader, whatever they want to be, the title that they will inherit every time, the clothes that they're going to wear, what gender they are, the phenotype of them. Then you can go with hairstyles depending on, and then different rooms and backgrounds. For this is when people will contact your empire, this is what they'll see. Along with when you go into your empire government screen to manage anything, this is also what you'll see. Alright, now going over to the home worlds. So let's just go with Mirita, whatever that is. And then we have our habitable preference. So we have desert worlds, arid worlds, and savanna worlds. We have ocean worlds, continental, tropical, tundra, alpine, arctic. So if I were to choose, say, continental worlds, right? My habitability on continental worlds would be about 80%. And then if I were to inhabit a ocean world or a tropical world, they would be about 60%. And since I'm choosing, and you can inhabit 60% because it'll be yellow color, and then if that is the case, then I will not be able to inhabit these with very high percentage of habitability. It may only be 15, 10, 20, 30, 40, depending on which type of homeworld you choose to start. So for this, we're going to go with most likely continental because it's the basic one that most species will have. sadly, and that just means that the habitable worlds out there mainly will be colonized with continental. Alright, so now going down to city appearance, we can choose what our city looks like on the ground as soon as our planet will evolve and grow. You'll see more and more buildings pop up as the planet fulfills itself. I prefer humanoid just because it's a new DLC that released, and I like looking at it a little different than what I've been seeing playing Stellaris throughout the years. And now that we're done with the homeworld, we move on to the Empire. This is going to be one of the most confusing screens that you're going to go through when it comes to Empire creation. So, you have 3 ethic points available. You can choose the not fanatic option. So if you want to be militarist, you want to be authoritarian, and then you want to be xenophobe, you can do that and be a just normal of each one of those ethics and not be a fanatic. Obviously, being a fanatic is a little bit stronger than not being one, depending on the bonuses that they do. But you also got to think about your stance in the galaxy and how you talk to other empires and what they think of you. So if you go a fanatic militarist or a militarist playthrough, pacifists are not going to be too happy with you, and they will obviously dislike you, and it'll be harder for you to ally with them. If you're egalitarian, fanatic egalitarian, you're obviously not going to get along with authoritarian and fanatic authoritarian because they care more about enslaving pops, and you care more about everyone living equally. And then we go down to xenophile, which means you love other aliens, and that other aliens love you. You know, everyone gets along. And then obviously xenophobes hate other alien races to the point that they think they're nothing but filth. And then we get down to the two biggest conflict starters, which are the materialist, which are robotic. They prefer robots over people almost. And the spiritualist, because the spiritualists hate the fact that they put all their faith into machines, and obviously the materialists hate the fact that they believe in a higher power. But because they're spiritualist or a materialist in some way, either just a fanatic or a fanatic militarist with a materialist background, and then someone that is, let's say, a egalitarian but also a fanatic spiritualist. They will obviously not like each other because of how they govern their societies. And then if you have the DLCs, you will have the Swarm, Hive Mind, or AI Network, which are completely different in types of how they play and what they do to the galaxy. So, but first, before we get to that, let's talk about the types of governments that you can choose from. So you can have a democracy, which is every 10 years you select a new ruler, which allow you to get different trait points. You're allowed to choose 2 trait points and research a 3rd one later on in the game. You have a oligarchy, which is 20 years before you select a new ruler. You have dictatorial, which holds an election upon ruler's death to select a new ruler. And imperial, upon ruler's death, a designated successor becomes the new ruler. So all of these obviously have different types of civics that you can choose. If you are a democracy, you obviously can't choose different types of putting other people under, like you can as a oligarchy or a empire. So, taking a little step away from ethics, there are all of these specific civics traits that you can choose from that are all different. Like if I choose pacifist and xenophobe, I'm going to have different types of civics points that I can choose from, like inward perfection. Now if I were to go over here and choose take off xenophobe and say add xenophile, I would not have inward perfection on here. Instead, I would have free haven. So, putting that into mind for our just temporary empire that we're going to make right here, we're going to go with a fanatic militarist and xenophobe. And for civic traits, obviously there are different types of civic traits. There are some civic traits that you can only apply once during the beginning of the round and that you cannot remove, like post-apocalyptic, which you're essentially survivors of a giant war, and you start on the Tomb World, and have Tomb World's habitability plus 70% in 10 years extra liter lifespan. But you cannot add or take away this civics point later on in the game. Along with synthetic evolution, which you start the game with 12 other subservient species. So you would start the game with some slaves, and you would not be able to remove this. But if you were to choose, say, police state and mining guilds, you would be able to switch between a police state and mining guilds to, say, functioning arcanist or feudal society. Life seeded, you start on a Gaia world size 25, but you're only able to inhabit Gaia worlds with this. So you have to be very careful on what you choose, and you have to read what the good things that it provides and what the bad things it provides, because accidentally starting a playthrough with the wrong civics points for your type of play that you're going for can ultimately lead to your downfall. So let's just go with these two, and we're going to go with a empire because feudal society is locked to the empire government type. So going over here, let's just randomize, get a good empire name and flag. You have obviously all of this customization that you can do on how they look in your empire itself. Ship appearance, have a lot of choices here as well. I'm going to go humanoid. Advisor voice, this is only changeable if you have the DLCs that allow you to get different advisor voices, because as of right now, if you do not have any of the DLCs, you will only have original. But for this one, I will have materialist.
Only in battle can the true metal of any sentient organism be measured. Have at thee.
Or something like the machine intelligence.
System diagnostic completed. All systems nominal.
And that's about it for the wrap-up of the create a empire screen. So then you would hit confirm, right? Save and continue. And now we get into the Galaxy startup menu. Now here is the Galaxy size: large, small, medium, and you can see the different amount of stars that they have in them. And there are all different types of galaxy shapes. Like this is a normal galaxy. This is a spiral, where it has pretty much two arms that wrap around each other, and with very like different choke points you can hold on each of the arms. Spiral 4 arms, and then a ring is a giant ring galaxy. So let's just go with, for this one, let's go with elliptical. You have the amount of AI empires that can spawn in. You can change them, obviously, from up to 1 to 10, depending on if you're in a multiplayer game. Advanced AI, they start will be about 20 to 40 years above you in everything. So they'll start with 3 planets, better tech than you, everything. I don't advise you turning on advanced AI starts on your first playthrough or even your 6th playthrough. It's more around your 8th or 9th playthrough of the game that you will actually be able to stand a chance against an AI start that hates your guts. Fallen empires, you can have up to 3 on a large galaxy. Fallen empires are empires that have gone into secluded space and locked themselves away for many, many years, and they are the essential final boss that you will have to fight in the empire scale. Marauder empires are space-born pirates that once you make contact with them, if you don't give them resources, food, like such as energy and minerals to pay off them, they will come and raid your territory and take it from you. And they are not to be taken lightly in the slightest. So we have tech and tradition cost. So if this is at 1%, everything's going to cost the same when it comes to tech and traditions. And then if you turn it down, the game goes a lot faster, but your population will not meet up with your tech, so it's a little harder to do to lower it down. You have to be more skilled on how to manage your empire, because your tech will outgrow your population, and your empire will falter because of lack of raw resources that will affect your amount of high-tech items that you have on your planets. So then we get to habitable worlds. These are the amount of habitable worlds that will spawn in the galaxy. I like to have it around 1x, around 1.5 if I'm doing a tough playthrough, because there are plenty of habitable worlds that spawn in, and when it comes to AI, they tend to colonize way too many planets for their own good. Primitive civilizations, or civilizations that can spawn in all the way from the dark ages all the way up to space ages and can become empires. You can do multiple things with them. You can incorporate them into your empire. You can let's see, I believe you can just study them until they either become able to become a space empire, or they eventually die off because of some natural disaster. They cause events that can happen. You can absorb them into your empire by pretty much infiltrating their society and their government and taking them up. And also, if you're a hive mind or robotic empire like Driven Assimilator, you can land on the planet, just eat them, kill them, turn them into robots, whatever you want with them. And then we get down to crisis strength. These are endgame crises that spawn in depending on whatever year you put in as the available start. They will spawn in randomly with after the year 2425. There are multiple endgame crises, such as the contingency, which is AI outbreak on many planets. There's different things like the Unbidden that can come from a different galaxy. There's things like the invading hive mind that will come and try and kill as many things as it can, where you have to stop it, and where everyone has to pitch in to fight off the crisis. Then let's see, we have victory year, is whatever, once this year meets, whoever's in first place among all the empires will be declared the victor. You can keep playing after the fact though. Difficulty can go all the way down to cadet, all the way up to Grand Admiral. I do not suggest going Grand Admiral at any reason. Your first 15 playthroughs is more like play through 16 when you have an empire that you've played at least twice. You should give Grand Admiral a try. So, and then when it comes to scaling difficulty, this will, when enabled, the AI will essentially be given bonus resources depending on the difficulty, and also the years start, the mid-game start year. They will also be given a huge chunk of tech, resources, everything to catch up to either you or other empires. Yeah, aggression will put on normal just for this. They can go up to high. I don't suggest it. It just makes things unpredictable. People will just attack you for no apparent reason if they hate you even the slightest bit. So if empire placement, you can do random, clustered, or distributed if you're playing on multiplayer. Advanced neighbors is obviously like advanced AI starts. They'll start close to you. Hyperlane density is the hyperlane channels that you can take to fly around and hold choke points. I prefer to go 0.75 just because it allows you to have a little more strategy when choosing choke points and systems you want to take. Abandoned gateways and wormholes are essentially things that you can get around the entire galaxy with. You can have wormholes that go into an enemy empire, to an ally empire to help them out. You can build abandoned gateways later on and repair them late game to allow you to get a little bit more transportation between your giant empire. And then guaranteed habitable worlds is how many habitable worlds will spawn, your preference, your world type preference. So if your preference is Tundra World, there will be 2 Tundra Worlds that spawn within 2 jumps of you, at least. And then Iron Man mode pretty much does not allow you to go back on saves, and it will save automatically when leaving the game, and you will not be able to cheat it. It is the essential for having trophies equipped at the time. And that's pretty much it for starting the game, and now we'll get into the actual game mechanics in just a second. Alright, so this is our empire. It gives a little introduction. You can create a bio that will sort of read into it if you're into the story aspect of your empire evolving throughout the galaxy. Just hit begin here. It'll zoom in on our home system. And then we can zoom out. We can hit R3 to zoom out to the galactic map. And you can see that we are top left of the galaxy. And I'm going to go through this at a weird pace, and it's just for what I found out learning on my own, and how I found out to maximize my efforts in mastering the game. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with the top bar. If I hit up on the D-pad and I go up, I can see the energy credits that I'm making. I'm currently positive 18 energy credits. You can see how many are consumed, what they're consumed by, and what is produced, and how it is produced. Go over to minerals. Minerals are mainly going to be mined in space, right? So if I go to my capital planet is currently producing 18 or 19 energy and 25 minerals. Most planets are going to be producing about 200 energy when they're about half full, depending on what type of planet you have. If you have a tech planet, it's going to be producing more technology than energy. But if you have an energy planet, it's going to obviously be producing more energy than most other planets. So when we have minerals, minerals are used for creating alloys. Either if you're a robot empire, they will be used for maintenance. Food is mainly used for pop growth on planets, and trading late game, and also for not starving. Consumer goods are pretty much things that make people happy. It'll be consumed for tech, certain type of entertainment buildings for amenities. Alloys are how we produce ships, mega structures, upgrade space stations. Alloys are essentially the gold ticket for this game. Alloys are life. If you don't have alloys, you are done. And then we have strategic resources, which can be mined from planets or found up in space. So we have volcanic motes, exotic gases, rare crystals, living metal, zero, and dark matter. Volcanic motes are made mainly for alloy production and mineral production. Exotic gases are mainly made for tech. They are also used in energy production. Rare crystals are used mainly for amenities, housing, and certain things that involve in happiness. Living metal can be found out in space. You can use that to speed up megastructure build speed. Zero is mainly used for if you reach into the void or have certain types of ship components that require you to use zero power. It'll take zero to make the ships. Dark matter is mainly used for late game when you've defeated a fallen empire and taken the tech, and when adding fallen empire tech to ships and creating ships that have fallen empire materials on it, it'll take dark matter to produce it. Influence is one of the big kickers in this game. It can be used for many things. It can be used for edicts. It can be used for claiming other people's territories. It can be used for expanding space station wise, and you can gain more through rivaling other people. It costs influence to have non-aggression pacts, defense pacts, and with other empires, talking to them, having commercial pacts, migration treaties with other empires will cost you a little bit of influence. But having rivalries with other enemy empires will cause you to gain more influence, along with having factions that like you. Factions will produce most of your influence in game, along with researches that can allow you to research other different types of influence gaining material. Unity is one of the bigger parts of this. You need Unity for many things involving the Traditions tab, which I will get into in just a little bit, so you're going to have to wait for that one. We have Tech. This just shows how much tech you're getting. Tech is obviously for your research that you're going to go into, which I will get into in just a little bit. Empire Sprawl. This is something you're going to have to want to watch out for mid-game and early game especially, and late game when you have most of the techs you want, and you're going to be able to at least survive on the Empire scale when it comes to technology. Like if you're not inferior to anyone in technology wise, then you will be able to expand past your sprawl limit, which right now my sprawl limit is 30. There are ways to increase that number though. If you do increase it over the course, say if I were to expand to this system, this system, this system, and these two over here, my sprawl would be whatever the addition is. It would be, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it'd be plus 10, so I'd be at 23. But since my empire is not all put together very much, since I don't have this system, and I'm not in some sort of circle connected good, it has a chance that it will say that my empire is too divided. It is not connected enough, not safe enough to go in one straight line or loop around a system, and it will add a percentage. So you always need to look up at the Empire Sprawl and watch that cap move, and don't just keep expanding and then just kill yourself on tech and tradition cost-wise. You can see how many systems are owned by you, how many planets, what the size is. You can see how many population there are. This is how many star bases you can have, and this is your naval capacity, which is something you need to have a close look at, just for how many ships you can make. If you go over this or the starbase influence capacity, it'll cost you in multiple ways involving energy and minerals. Now that the top is done, let's quickly go over to the left bar. The left bar, I'm just going to start from the very top and move my way down. So, things you're going to need to know. Top bar is government. This is where you can go and you can see all the stats, your ruler traits, what they do, your civic traits, what they do, all of this. Your type of empire, your empire cohesion. This is what I was talking about for like how congested your empire is on one system and how the sprawl will increase. You can have modifiers. You will see many more of these later on when you've done more researches, when you've found more things out in the galaxy and research them. You have reform government, which you'll see later on, and for 250 influence, you can take away or add civics points that you would like, and you can also change your type of government if you would so find fit. So moving on, you can see the demographic, what your pops are. Right now, since we have rapid growth, we have, or since we are xenophobes actually, we have a 10% growth speed modifier. We also have rapid breeders, which give us another 10%, so we're starting off with 20% pop growth speed. Okay, then we go down to contacts. Contacts will show a lot more when you find other empires, primitives, fallen empires, and traitors out in the galaxy, along with marauder empires. It'll be how you talk with people. You can go up here and hit sort by their opinions, which is a good thing to do, so that way your allies are up top and the people that are enemies to you are usually on the bottom. You have the situation log. Situation log will pop up with many things over the time of you exploring, crises that you have to avoid, an asteroid headed towards one of your planets you have to stop. You can go to anomalies if you haven't found any yet, that you passed up. In the victory screen, you can see what rank you are, why you are this rank, all your stats, including that. So now we go down, we go to technology. And we can see that we have physics, society, and engineering. So for physics, we're gonna go with physics from researchers plus 20%. We're gonna go for plus We can go for 10% pop growth speed or plus 2 unity. I'm going to go with growth speed just because it's very good early on. And then I'm going to go with engineering research. You can see the progress that they have, the types of scientists. Let's see, I'm going to select a new scientist for you, which would cost energy to recruit, and you can see what they do and how they will be well used. This one right here gives 5% research speed, which is really good, but what you want is a spark of genius. And then you can R1, you can go to what you've researched so far, and that'll become later on if you don't know if you have unlocked something or not later on in the game when you want to go back and check. Okay, now we're getting down to the market. Market is a very new thing to the game, but is very good for keeping your empire alive and kicking. So you can buy minerals for energy, you can sell minerals for energy, you can buy food for energy, sell food for energy. Everything involves energy. And automatic trades, you can set up automatics where if you want to buy 10 minerals for, and if it ever gets to 2 energy for 10 minerals, it'll buy it for you automatically. I don't suggest setting up automatic trades until late game when you are dying of resources and you have no way to fix the spike or deficit that you are going through. We have choreography, which allows you to go through your governor list, and expansion planner, which allows you to look at other planets that you have not yet found. We have society. I'm going to spend a little bit of time in this real quick. So here are your tradition perks in which you're going to want to go down. So we have discovery, which you adopt discovery, gives you anomaly research, and then you can go down the chain and discovery. I'm going to tell you this right now. As soon as you choose one, you have to go all the way through the path. You cannot just choose, I want discovery, I want 2 in expansion, I want 3 in prosperity, I want like 2 in harmony, 1 in supremacy. You don't want to do that. You want to, once you choose discovery, you want to go all the way through discovery to the very end, and that way you get an ascension perk. Ascension perks are the game changers. These are the things that will make or break your empire depending on what you choose and how you choose to use it. So, depending on your type of play, I suggest discovery or expansion to be the very first ones. If you were going to expand really rapidly right off the bat, I suggest you go down expansion, and then discovery second, just because at the end of discovery you get 10% research, which depending on how fast you expanded in your empire scroll, that'll come in very, very handy. So, and then if you are going to be close to someone that you are either going to be fighting or not fighting with, or maybe you want to be allies with them, you can go down diplomacy, and you can boost that trust cap and get a federation started in diplomacy, because that is how you get federations. If you don't find anyone and you're just not gonna be, you're gonna be neutral the entire time, you can either go down prosperity or harmony, which increase your stats, your mining, all that stuff. Supremacy is made more for all-out combat. Everything in here is just straight about combat. Domination is a little bit more about self-control of your empire. So let's say, for example, that you go down the expansion path, and you go down here to ascension perks, and you would choose one, right? Only very few are unlocked right off the bat, but you can choose your fair share. Interstellar Dominion, Technological Ascendancy are 2 that you want to choose very quickly right off the bat. Nilstic Acquisition allows you to have a raiding bombardment, which allows you to essentially steal pops off planets that you're bombarding and put them on your homeworld, and allows you to do whatever you want with them. One Vision Imperial Prerogative allows you to get plus 30 administrative capacity, which is Empire Sprawl, which I was talking about earlier. We have Mastery of Evolution, which allows you to get gene modifications, which allows you to edit those traits of your people that I was talking about. The Flesh is Weak and Synthetic Evolution is something that if you have a materialist empire and you want to go robotic, is something that you're going to want to go down, always. always want to go down. It is very, very good. If you do not go down this as a materialist empire, then you are missing out. Same with a psychic empire. If you're going down psychic, you want to go mind over matter and transcendence, just so you can get the Jedi warriors and just become psychic and reach into the void and see what comes out. So then we head down to World Shaper, which is terraforming when you terraform a planet to suit your needs. Galactic Force projection is not to be shunned on for naval capacity plus 80 and 20 plus 20 to command limit. We have Defenders of the Galaxy, which defend against the endgame crisis, 50%. We have Grasp the Void, which allows you to get plus 5 star bases. Turtle Vigilance gives boost to the star bases. Mastery of Nature allows you to clear blockers on planets faster and add 2, I believe it's 2 districts to a planet that you own, which is really good to have plus 2 districts. Voidborn allows you to get habitats, which habitats are essentially worlds that are in space. The little tiny planets up in space that are not the exact same as planets, but work the same way. Master Builders allow you to build megastructures 50% faster, and allow you to have 2 districts, 2 more districts on habitats. And then we have Galactic Wonders. So I'm going to run through all 4 Galactic Wonders that you will get from getting this Ascension perk. That you need to have Mega Engineering unlocked first, and then you also need to have 3 other Ascension perks selected first. So you can't get this right off the bat. You have to get 3 others, and this has to be your 4th one. So we have the Sentry Array. Sentry Array will take influence to start building and take about 10,000 alloys. You have to build most of these 4 times. So once you build the first tier of the Sentry Array, you'll be able to see a little bit farther out of your normal sight range. And then when you build the second step, it's almost a third of the map. The third step, I believe it's about 2/3 of the map. And then the final level of the Sentry Array, you'll be able to see the entire map no matter what, see where their fleets are, and knowledge is power in this game especially. Then you get down, you can build a Science Nexus, which when upgraded will allow you to get a lot of nice tech and research points, which is not to be looked down on. Having a Science Nexus can make or break your ability to produce tech to level up and meet your opponents in battle. Then you have the Dyson Sphere, which when finally upgraded will produce a nice 1,000 energy, which is nice for keeping that fleet up and running, along with your worlds and your pops that you have to keep happy. And then we have the Ring World, which takes a lot longer than all the other worlds to build, but once you do, you get a size 50 planet, 4 of them to be exact, all Gaia worlds that you can put down so much resource into creating these monsters. And essentially what they will do is they will allow you to build 4 giant planets in one system and not have to worry about expanding and dealing with other empires. And when you're locked in your little tiny space, having a ring world and then building a second one allows you to keep expanding your population and allows you to be one step ahead of the game when it comes to fighting the enemy. Okay, so now go hit R1. We have policies. These are things you want to go and look at right off the bat of the game and things you want to change. War philosophy, liberation wars, or liberation wars, defensive wars. You can obviously look through all of this on your own, just see what kind of empire you want to be. So first contact, I want to do aggressive. Initial border status, I want to be closed. You can see what kind of economy you want to do, trade, robotic workers, how you treat people, purge. So I can do purge is allowed. Let's see, slavery is allowed. And population control is allowed. And then we go over to the final part of this, which is edicts, which you unlock more edicts as you go down the line, but these are just strategic resources that you can put into, and then also influence. You'll unlock a lot more of these within the first 10 years, 20 years of the game that you'll be able to pump influence into. Alright, a few years has passed by and we have unlocked our first tradition trait. I'm going to put that quickly into expansion. I'm going to adopt it. So now I have 0 of 5 completed on expansion. There's a hostile fleet that just spawned in, and I quickly took care of it, and it added to our situation log a Temple of Unity mission that we can go do, which is board a cultist ship, which we will do in just a bit. So getting down to it, we have people. This is where you can go to see all your leaders. Here you can see all your factions, which we do not have any factions yet. And we can go through and show all of our species that we have in our empire, and this is where we can go to modify them, set the rights of specific species, and do all of that fun stuff. And then we can go down to ships and fleets. Here's a fun little new tab where we can create new fleets. We can choose if we want corvettes in this fleet. We can choose how many corvettes we want in this fleet. We can choose what their stance is going to be, what the leader they have, repair them, reinforce. If I reinforce this fleet, say that this fleet should have 10 corvettes, and I hit reinforce, it's going to cost me 400 alloys to reinforce this fleet, but it'll fill up my 10 corvettes that I want to have in this fleet. So quickly, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to reinforce fleet, and I'm going to quickly go over here, go into Starbase, replace this trade hub with a shipyard. The more shipyards that you have, the more ships you can upgrade and produce at one time. So if you have 6 shipyards, you can pump out 6 ships at one time and upgrade 6 ships at one time. So then we go over to ship designer. This is where you can adjust your ships, what kind of power to use, what kind of hyperdrive to use, what kind of critical thrust, what kind of radar system, what kind of computer do they use. This is all unlocked through technology that you upgrade. You can auto-complete ship to the best design. You can see what types of holes. This is a point defense. This one has a missile slot. This one has 3 smalls. So we're just going to go with 1 red laser, 2 mass drivers, and you can see the stats of the difference in them. This one does minus 10% to shield damage and does 50% more to armor damage. This one does 50% shield damage, minus 50 to armor damage. And then we go down here, we have armor hit points and shield hit points. Shield hit points are good for almost every single ship, and then armor is also good for depending on the type of ship. And then you can see the amount of power that is being used right here. So shield takes up a lot of power, armor doesn't. So see how we have plus 15. And then we have a slot, which are unlocked later on, but right now we can just slap a reactor booster on it right now, just to give us that little extra bit. And there we go. It'll cost 105 per corvette. Will cost 60 days for build time, and the upkeep will be 0.90 energy and 0.21 alloys per each one of these ships that we have. And then if you hit R1 again, you can go over to the Federation, which I can't show you yet because I'm not currently in one. Then we have the War tab. The War tab is something that when we have a contact that we can go to, we can actually look at how the war is going and if we are currently in a war. Claims are something that if there's an empire that we want the territory for, we can claim the territory, costing us influence. But we can go around and once we win the war of conquest, we can claim that territory that is shown. Map modes are just trade route map modes, detailed map modes, sector map modes, all this. You pretty much want to have empire map modes on, hyperlane map modes on, just because that way you can see your hyperlane ways. And right now, I'm just going to quickly, since we are wrapped up with the left side, I'm going to go to the right side now, but I'm going to start sending my science ship out to survey, and you just hit X to survey system, then you can press square after that to chain order, right? Chain order is something that you will learn is very useful just for, so now it's going to survey all these systems in this area. I'm going to use my construction ship, select all of these minerals, energy, and research that is not being taken over and use in my home system, and I'm going to quickly select both of those using the chain order So that way now it'll quickly be doing both of those. And you see in the bottom left it says +3 orders. So now it's going to build all of that. Currently explored this system right here. And the science ship will then scan all of the planets in here, and we'll see what we can get. I'm going to quickly go up to the shipyard. I'm going to go over to it. I'm going to build a science ship, just because I'm going to build 2 science ships actually. Construction ships are used for building outposts and expanding your territory, along with mining planets in the systems. Like this right here has a mining station above it. And then you can get boost depending on the tech that you have. So right now this is collecting 7.5 energy from this one territory. So I'm going to quickly influence cost. Then I'm going to go into my planet. So now we're going to get into the planet. Alright, so clicking on the planet, just go over to a summary of the planet. Here's all of the information that you will need. Empire capital, the planet status, you can go through, look at all this if you want. The resources that come out of it, the trade value. Some planets will have modifiers. The biggest planet that you can find in the game is size 25. So size 20 as your starting planet is not bad at all. The size depends on how many districts you can possibly get. So right up here, I have 8 available districts. So then you can go over here, you can declare martial law, which costs influence. You can encourage population growth, which adds 25%. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So now our pops are going to grow faster. I'm going to go to the surface of the planet. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to build a unity producing. It also increases our culture, so what our type of government is. So it's going to add militarist adaptation, like people that will influence militarist and xenophobe across our empire. Then I'm going to look up, see what we need. I'm going to get another alloy foundry. Go over here in the top right of the system. You can see how much housing is there. That little tiny house, or the very. So you see the 70% up top. That's the stability of your planet. So if you put a stronghold or something like a military base on your planet, it'll increase the stability. And then right next to that is 0%. That is the crime percentage, or and you see it just went up just because of the amount of people that are here, and no one is currently or a leader just got a bad trait. Actually, he just became corrupt, so that is unfortunate. So now he's going to add a lot of negatives to us. And then right next to the 18% is the amount of housing we have. You can increase the amount of housing by adding city districts, which cost 1 of the district points, which we have 8. So I'm going to quickly build 1 of those. So city districts add 5 housing, and they will increase and decrease depending on techs you unlock, traditions, and the clerk jobs will increase trade value and amenities. Complete. Amenities are what will make people happy. You can build multiple research things that you can look into that will give you more amenities on planets to make people happy. Then right below the amenities, going down, you'll see a red 2. That's how many unemployed people we have. So if we go down to workers, we have 2 unemployed people. So we don't really want 2 unemployed people. We want to be able to do something with them. So what we can do about that is, as soon as the monument just finished up, and that is a specialist worker force. So 2 people from the worker category were just bumped up to specialist, and now that the 2 people that were workers just got bumped up from unemployed to working one of their intended positions. So then we have the technicians, which is energy, we have mining, and we have food production. Then you can see how many squares there are on this. That is how many max you can get. So if you have like an entire box of just nothing but yellow, like, do you see how many blue squares there are here? If you have that many yellow squares, that means that you're going to want to put heavy into energy on this planet. Same with food or minerals, depending on the type of planet that you're going for. So population. population rulers are top tier, and then you go down to specialist and workers. They will be promoted instantly depending on what they are, but they will take time, say if something happens to one of the buildings, or you remove one of the buildings just to get more workers on the ground. It'll take about 1,000 days for someone to be demoted a position to be able to go into the other workforce. So if we go up here, you can see the happiness of the planet. It's currently at 58%, which is not bad for early on and for me not doing anything for this entire time. You can go up here, you can see pops declining, which is if you're purging pops, eating pops, assimilating pops, anything that has to do with pops disappearing from the planet. Assembling is more for robot building. So either if you're a robot empire or if you have robots, if you have robots and stuff like that in building, then let's see. Then we will go up here. We have the pop growth speed. You can see that's 4.65 per month, which is pretty good. I've gotten up to 12.46 before, which is obviously late game, and you can select that you just want to have your main people are the only ones you want growing on this planet, which will cost some, depending on what kind of species you are. Having a prioritized species has the following effect on the planet: pop growth speed minus 20%. So it's not very good. See, look, it just minused it. But for species that you just don't want to have any species on, or if you don't want to have that minus pop growth later on, you can either, depending on your type of empire, you can get rid of that type of species altogether, or you can just deal with the 20% minus to growth speed and just do that. Here's a perfect example of an anomaly popping up. It's a challenging one. It's going to take 540 days. I'm going to research it anyways, even though it's challenging. I probably shouldn't have, but we're going to go with that. This little green world right here is a sign that this is a continental world, which is habitable. So if we were to, for example, since we haven't fully surveyed it, go over here. We can take our construction ship here, go over here, build starbase outpost. Alright, and then I'm going to go over here, go to science ship, go down to manage, go to recruit leader, recruit new scientist, carefree, and then let's just equip him. And I'm going to quickly go over here and hit, he's going to survey those systems, and just keep going. Recruit another scientist for this guy. And there we go. So now that we got all these science ships going out, they will find anomalies depending on what is going to happen. Let's just do population with 1+ on traditions. Okay, let's go to our shipyards. So now, if you look, since we have a starbase in our capital, we have less trade coming out of it. And I will go over trading in just a little bit. Let's see, army damage. Let's go with that. So the bottom part of your screen is going to be your quick menu. So you'll be able to look at all the things like hostile fleet present. It zooms in on this. If I go to leader, right, it'll show me who leveled up, what they leveled up, what effect did it have. If something bad happens, it says construction complete. Like this construction ship is just about to build this post, and boom, now we are bigger. Build mining station, and as soon as this is built over here, we are able to expand over here. This has 2 exotic gases in it, which is really good.
Complete.
And we can actually chain order to build another port over there. And finding 2 in one system is very good. We do not have the technology yet to mine that, but just having that close to our main system is very useful. Very, very useful indeed. Let's see, let's go, keep going into... There we go. Alright, so now I'm going to jump over quickly to another one of my playthroughs, and I will show you a little bit of mid to late game information and just things that you will have to look forward to in the future.